Good morning. I am Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. We got a lot to cover on today's program, which I want to mention today is brought to you in part by the Corso Law Group, and always delighted to be able to visit with Chris Corso. But this first segment, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Ryan Streeter. He's Executive Director of the Center for Politics and Governance at the University of Texas. And we're going to talk about issues like minimum wage and inequality and some other economic issues as well. Before we get started with that, Dr. Streeter, welcome to the program. What's the website for the center?
Good morning. The website is www.politicsandgovernance.org. There's a hyphen. There are hyphens on either side of "and." So politics-and-governance.org.
Oh, I see. Someone didn't know what they were doing when they gave you that name.
Yeah, that's right.
Someone needs to be slapped around. Okay. Politics-and-governance.org.
Yeah, and you can go to my website, ryanstreeter.com, and get linked to it through there, too.
Yeah. Hey, I love some of the work you guys are doing. It's really good stuff, and love the fact that you are bringing some free market ideas when it comes to understanding what's happening on the social and economic front. One of the hot issues we hear so much about is minimum wage. And I've written extensively about this in my column. I'm amazed that my friends over at Huffington Post let me publish what I've published over there, on that topic. Because I don't think people look at things like minimum wage in a consequential sort of way. I think they look at it in a moral vacuum, but don't see what it does ultimately. Now, I think that's some of your concern as well.
That's right. My concern, like I think most Americans' concern, is that everybody should be earning more. I think we want everyone to earn more money than they currently are, particularly middle-class families that have felt squeezed. Everybody should be doing better financially. The real question is what kind of benefit we would get through the minimum wage versus other sorts of things, right? So with all of the focus on minimum wage, we take our eyes off of more fundamental concerns that we should be having about the economy, and that is that we're not having as many new businesses start today as back in the 80s. There's been a slow decline in the number of new businesses as a percentage of overall businesses, and economists know that it's new businesses forming that create the most jobs and create a disproportionate number of jobs for young people, young workers. And so what we really need to do is unleash this economy by identifying those things that are keeping entrepreneurs back, people that used to start businesses that today are deciding not to because there are too many inhibitors in the economy. That's how you're going to get real job growth and create the kind of opportunity ladder that young workers want. So we can talk about the merits of the minimum wage, but at the end of the day, if you rose it to $12 an hour or $15 an hour, you would never achieve the kind of upward mobility prospects for young workers like unleashing the entrepreneurial engines of our economy would achieve. That's really what we should be focused on.
Yeah, and not only that, though,
not only that, about low-income workers.
You pointed out the fact that there's inhibitors from people even becoming entrepreneur. Well, guess what? If they raise minimum wage to $12 or $15 an hour, that's just one more inhibitor. And none of this economic activity, minimum wage increases, happens in a vacuum. The reality is that it has a consequential effect in terms of costs. I've traveled a lot to places like New York and places, like San Francisco in particular, which has an incredibly high local minimum wage. A lot of specials you see on national TV simply are exempt in San Francisco because they can't economically afford them. So whatever benefit you got in a higher minimum wage is often absorbed in higher prices.
That's right. And I think the people who benefit from the rise in the minimum wage would certainly be happy to be earning $15 an hour as opposed to earning $7 or $8 an hour. But the reality is that's going to be very few people overall in the economy. And it's not going to do the sorts of things that the advocates claim. The advocates pushing for higher minimum wages right now cite problems like growing income inequality, the fact that the rich are getting richer while wages are stagnating for the middle class. Those things are true. I mean, we do have this growing inequality gap and the like, but the way to address that problem is what I was talking about earlier. Raising the minimum wage is going to have a negligible effect on those big issues. And when you talk to Americans, you look at what Americans are concerned about, they don't get motivated in polls. If you read the polls, they don't get motivated by the issues of inequality as much as they get motivated by issues of opportunity. People want to work their way up in the world. They want to have an opportunity at a job that is fulfilling and that pays well and that prepares them for the next job that they'll take. And the only way that you can get that kind of dynamic in the economy is to get more churn in the economy, where you have more newer businesses starting every year, more and more.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. I mean, so the reality is that, when I hear that, I think about the fact the United States already has the most prohibitive tax environment of any industrialized country for businesses around the world, which is why we keep wondering why so many businesses move to around the world. That's an example right there. You can't help America's poor by making America poor. And when you have an uncompetitive tax environment, you're making America poor.
Right, and we also have an uncompetitive, increasingly so, regulatory environment.
Right, multi-layer regulations.
Yeah, small businesses are citing regulations as much as taxes now is what is alarming them. And small businesses, businesses with fewer than say 10 employees or so, they pay about 3.5 times per employee what companies with over 100 employees pay just in regulatory compliance costs. So the regulatory burden that we continue to shovel upon the private sector in this country is disproportionately hurting small businesses, and I think that's a pretty obvious explanation for why we're seeing fewer new businesses every year.
By the way, where did that come from? I love that statistic. Yeah. I don't like that statistic, but I like the potency of that statistic. Mm-hmm. And you just explain why, through regulatory capture, mega corporations continue to promote regulations that they're already in compliance with, but would have a destructive effect on smaller businesses. It's really a form of protectionism, isn't it?
Right, it is. And, you have the CEO of Goldman Sachs saying that the Dodd-Frank bill was actually very good for Goldman Sachs. They're big. They can work it out. They can comply with it. What it's doing is it's crushing those sources of credit and capital that historically have funded smaller and emerging companies. So right there is a good example. The new healthcare law has made the insurance companies consolidate and bigger. You just go on down the line from federal regulations to state and local licensing laws. You have kind of the big guys winning and the small guys not getting in the game anymore. So if we care about creating jobs that have real upward mobility potential and wage growth potential, we've got to care about this issue. I mean, this is the way to get at it. It's much more complicated than just saying let's raise the minimum wage, but it's more necessary right now.
Let me ask you again, and you mentioned this 3.5 times. The cost for compliance for small business when it comes to regulations is 3.5 times. Was it for regulations or cost per employee?
That is the cost per employee that regulatory burdens place on companies. And it comes out of a recent Mercatus Center study from I think last month.
Yeah, those guys are out of George Mason, right?
Yes, right, at George Mason University. And they do great work on these issues. And the study also shows that probably a third of the regulations that businesses labor under would be what you would call red tape, the kind of stuff that has more to do with compliance costs than actually protecting any public or health safety concerns. So and this has only been growing. I mean, any dispassionate observer of the regulatory state would agree, regardless of their politics and their ideology, that the number of regulations has grown enormously over the last 20 years. And at the state and local level, this licensing process just exploded as well, where we have 1 in 3 jobs in America now require some form of government permission, just to get the job.
Ridiculous.
So we have at the state level and at the federal level an increasing set of burdens that come from government regulators that, in the name of public safety and in terms and protecting health and other things, this proliferation of rules, which makes it harder and harder to run enterprise. Every small business is probably out of compliance with something.
Yeah, everyone is. Yeah, in Russia, in the former Soviet Union, the old joke was 4 felonies a day. The average Soviet citizen committed 4 felonies a day and didn't even realize it. The average business owner in America is in the same situation.
That's right.
It's
so
ridiculous.
that's a really big issue. And the second issue, of course, is the cost of health care. I mean, this is, as we know, just it increases the cost of people without increasing wages. And Obamacare has not made this problem any better for employers. It's making it worse. And and you're seeing kind of the slow rolling sort of train wreck that law has become in a lot. I mean, you've got United threatening to pull out. The law itself has got lots of problems, but at the Main Street level, we all know that even before this law, that the way our health care marketplace, health insurance marketplace works is making it expensive for businesses as well. So the regulations built into that law, and then the regulatory problem more generally, I think are these inhibitors that we were talking about earlier on real dynamic growth that we need to see in our economy that we're not seeing.
Dr. Ryan Streeter, he's Executive Director, Center for Politics and Governance of the University of Texas. And I think I will give your other website to wrap it up, ryanstreeter.com. That's Ryan, R-Y-A-N, Streeter, STREETER.com. Dr. Streeter, thanks for being with us. Great topic today.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
All right, when we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter.